Think about this for a second. Astrology is literally a multi-billion-dollar global industry, right? Millions of people check into it every single day, trying to predict the future or just make sense of the present. But here's the crazy irony. The practitioners who are powering this massive industry, they are largely stuck in the past. We're talking about running incredibly complex astrological research using fragmented, offline, legacy desktop software that looks like it was built in the 1990s. Well, in this explainer, we're taking a look at a platform that completely rewrites that reality. It's called AstroStage.
Okay, let's dive into this massive ambition. AstroStage isn't just, a slick update to an old calculator. It is actively pitching itself as the Figma, Shopify, and Salesforce for the astrological sciences. What that actually means in practice is that it's a full-stack, entirely cloud-native creation and runtime ecosystem. So it's a single place where practitioners don't just calculate a birth chart, but they can actively design interfaces, empirically test their custom rules, and then, here's the kicker, monetize their digital assets all within one modern unified environment.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going on a bottom-up architectural tour. Number 1, the tech gap. 2, the engine room. 3, pipeline data flow. 4, custom research. And finally, number 5, the ecosystem marketplace.
All right, let's get right into section 1, the tech gap and leaving the desktop behind. The contrast between legacy tools and modern software expectations is just stark. I mean, today's consumers expect everything to be AI-driven, real-time, interactive, and beautifully accessible right on the web. But right now, if an astrologer tries to share a custom layout or test a highly specific transit rule, they are trapped. They're using these offline, fragmented tools with absolutely zero built-in collaboration. AstroStage replaces all of that isolation with standardized rules, collaborative APIs, and a cloud-native workspace that behaves exactly like a top-tier modern SaaS application.
Moving on to section 2, the engine room. We are going deep into the fast and precise backend powering this whole thing. This platform is built on an incredibly modern enterprise-grade tech stack. So on the front end, we've got a vibrant React 19 and TypeScript setup for the UI. That is supported by a blazing fast FastAPI Python backend. At its true mathematical core, it leverages the PySwiSef library, and it uses SQL Sub to gracefully scale the database. We're talking scaling from a simple local SQLite deployment all the way up to massive PostgreSQL clusters. It's built to be enterprise-grade from day one.
So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the level of precision required. The Swiss ephemeris, which is wrapped here by PySwiSef, is literally the gold standard for high-fidelity astronomical calculations. And why does this matter so much? Because in astrological research, a fraction of a single degree can change an entire prediction. This mathematical library is the unshakable bedrock that guarantees every chart, every transit, and every house calculation is both sub-second and astronomically perfect.
But, an engine is totally useless if it's too slow to actually interact with. And that's exactly where FastAPI comes in. FastAPI acts as this high-speed asynchronous nervous system that wraps around that heavy Swiss ephemeris calculation engine. By decoupling the static front end from the back-end API layer, FastAPI makes sure that these intensely complex math calculations are delivered via APIs with sub-millisecond page loads over a global CDN. It basically makes heavy math feel completely frictionless. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer breadth of calculation abilities these engines unlock simultaneously. Because the architecture is so robust, AstroStage can run multiple high-fidelity engines at the exact same time. We're talking everything from the Jatakam Natal engine for core geocentric positions to nested Vimshatari dasha periods, and even the highly specialized Jamakal engine, which is a traditional Tamil system using hourly subdivisions. The amount of concurrent math happening here is just staggering. All right, let's slow down the pace slightly for section 3, wiring it together, focusing on the pipeline data flow architecture.
Think of this data flow pipeline as the ultimate plumbing system. Step 1, the user enters their birth details. Step 2, the FastAPI transmission sends that instantly to the Swiss ephemeris engine to calculate the data. And then step 3, the pipeline data flow, acting kind of like a smart dashboard, routes that newly calculated data to multiple visual components simultaneously, like a natal chart and a strength table. The real beauty here is that creators can pipe this complex data around visually without writing a single line of code. 81. There are over 81 specialized visual controls in the drag-and-drop interface designer that can receive this pipe data. If you want to build a totally custom astrological dashboard, you literally just drag these components onto your canvas and use that data flow pipeline to wire them up to the back-end engines instantly. It's a real game changer.
Which brings us to Section 4, Custom Research, and how this architecture is empowering the analyst.
For decades, a massive amount of astrological research relied on manual charting and, frankly, anecdotal traditional guesswork. AstroStage completely upends that by introducing an empirical validation engine through its rule designer. Researchers can now build JSON-structured rulebooks, which are basically packages of astrological logic, like planet X in house Y, and then run them against thousands of test charts. The pipeline data flow instantly categorizes the results as matched, unmatched, missing data, or syntax issue. It turns subjective guessing into hard empirical science.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how AstroStage integrates AI to massively accelerate that research pipeline. They feature a YouTube rule extractor that can actually download a lecture, transcribe the whole thing, and use LLMs to extract structured astrological rules directly into a rulebook. No way, right? Or take the stock workbench. That tool correlates specific planetary transits against historical stock market data to produce actual predictive accuracy scores. They are literally taking ancient systems and applying cutting-edge data science to them.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, the ecosystem. We're looking at governance and the marketplace.
So AstroStage is built for enterprise-grade teaching institutes and large practices. That means nothing just accidentally goes live. They use a very strict practice governance pipeline. Assets have to move from development into review, get approved by an administrator, and only then do they reach production. This ensures absolute quality control before these assets are ever exposed to students or to clients via the Meeting Plus consultation portal, maintaining a comprehensive audit trail the entire way.
And once those assets are approved, they can actually be monetized. AstroStage operates on a B2B2C SaaS model. Through the collaboration space, creators can list their unique visual components, their highly accurate rulebooks, or even custom APIs. Users subscribe to these assets, and AstroStage takes a transaction fee of around 10 to 20%. It creates this thriving, self-sustaining economy of shared intellectual property. It's very much like the Shopify App Store, but for astrology.
A hugely important part of this marketplace is managed API key access. Look, a major hurdle for everyday users who want to use AI is setting up and securing their own API keys for services like Google Gemini or OpenAI. It's a pain. AstroStage solves this by securely proxying those requests. Users just subscribe to a package, and the AstroStage backend vault handles all the rate limiting and credential rotation. That means anyone can use advanced AI without ever touching a line of configuration. And what's truly fascinating is where this is heading next, because the drag-and-drop studio, the pipeline data flow, and the empirical validation engine are so architecturally robust, AstroStage's Phase 3 vision is to generalize the entire workbench. Actually, the exact same mechanics used to map planetary transits can scale into generic AI prompt engineering, complex legal rule evaluation, or even medical diagnostics. The underlying architecture is completely domain agnostic.
So we've seen how a crazy powerful fast API and Swiss ephemeris engine combined with a highly intuitive data flow pipeline can completely modernize an ancient practice into a rigorous empirical science. With the universe's data finally piped into a modern sandbox, what will you build?